There are so many different people that I would love to have on this podcast. Tom Hanks is definitely one of them. Almighty unproblematic fave. But Whoopi Goldberg is one of them. She was my idol. She's always been my idol. Whoopi never took the typical roles given to women. She was the star of her own shows. She was funny. She was vulgar. She was herself. It always felt like you were seeing the real Whoopi in interviews. The way she would host the Oscars, the charisma, the power, and the fact that there was no box that they tried to push Whoopi into. Whoopi is her own box, and I think that's always been the goal for me, is to be my own box. Angelina Jolie is someone who I think would be brilliant to have on this podcast, because Christ, have we just framed a narrative around this woman since she was so young. She got blamed entirely for the breakup of a marriage. I thought was very interesting, whereas that was a 50-50 responsibility. It takes two to tango. She was significantly younger than the other person involved in that affair, and I don't think she's blameless. But I also think the way that we vilify the woman as the sole homewrecker is very problematic. I think she was probably one of my first role models for someone who took being in these huge blockbuster films, who was arguably one of the most beautiful women of all time, who could easily have just taken that moment to bask in her glory and her beauty and only talk about that, chose all of her conversations to be about what is happening in Cambodia and Pakistan, in countries that the media never talked about, and to highlight issues of rape as a war crime. So I think her decisions have just fascinates me, and her ability to not speak back when these egregious lies are told about her, I cannot relate to, because I cannot stop fighting those narratives. Russell Brand is going to be on the podcast. I think that's going to be a really interesting discussion, because he's had a very interesting journey with shame and has used it fully to try and utilize it as a teachable moment for the world of don't end up, like him, which is what I do as well.